Water treatment plants are always birding hotspots. You can see gulls and shorebirds like the spotted sandpiper. While shorebirds are usually tough to identify, the spotted sandpiper is generally recognized by its teetering gait, meaning it constantly bobs its tail as it walks among the rocks. Chicks actually do this from birth, and the purpose is unknown. Studies have shown that the teetering gets faster when the bird is nervous. The last Saturday in April, we drove to a roadside pond in the South Metro to find 3 Wilson's phalaropes doing what phalaropes do, which is spin in circles until you get dizzy watching them. Phalaropes are fascinating for a lot of reasons, and as you would probably guess, I'm going to tell you some of these reasons, because this episode contains a lot of pictures of this bird, so I have plenty of time to talk about them. But first, I wanted to point out that in a flooded field just across the road, there was about 20 yellowlegs, probably lesser yellowlegs. Shallow pools and flooded pastures are great spots to look for these shorebirds during migration. Now back to the phalaropes. Unlike any other shorebird, they spin in circles, often working together to create a vortex which draws in small aquatic invertebrates like midges and brine flies. More about them later. And this allows them to feed in deeper water. They are probably all females, as they all have the distinctive dark neck stripe. Both spotted sandpipers and phalaropes have an unusual mating practice called polyandry, where the female does the courting and defending male mates, and thus they are more brightly colored. This also means the male raises the young, while the female is busy looking for another mate. While these birds breed in western Minnesota, we don't usually get to see them in our area, so we spent a while watching them, as well as the flock of yellowlegs, which had crossed the road and joined them in the marsh. We made a quick stop to Shakopee Mill Pond to look for ducks, and then headed to an area in the North Metro with purple martin houses. The first returning martins are called scouts, and these are just the older birds that have been here before. The martins had checked in about a week earlier, and there was already no vacancy. They get all their food on the fly, usually catching insects higher up than swallows do. They also get water on the fly by skimming the pond or lake. Purple martins in the eastern United States nest almost exclusively in man-made houses. Before Europeans arrived, Native Americans were already housing them by hanging up hollowed-out gourds. Instead of tail bobbing, yellowlegs do a lot of head bobbing. Supposedly this helps improve their vision and depth perception when a potential threat is around. I think it's just a nervous habit like pencil tapping. Besides carefully cleaning rocks, female spotted sandpipers can also mate with up to 4 males in a season, with one record-setting female in Minnesota laying 5 clutches for 3 males in a month and a half. Speaking of that, April 26th we spotted our first hatched mallards. And now another spotted new arrival, the brown thrasher. Its song is like the mockingbird, except the phrases are repeated in pairs rather than triplets. They can sing 1,000 different songs, but prefer to hide in thick shrubs, so you only get views like this in the spring when the males climb high to perches to sing. and now more spots. We were really hoping this was the Swainson's thrush, as they are currently migrating through. Since this guy refused to sing, we were having a hard time telling. Apparently the Swainson's thrush has a more buffy eye ring, and the hermit thrush has a redder tail like this one. Besides the thrushes, the woods are loaded with yellow-rumped warblers and kinglets. That night of April 26th also marked the final appearance of the short-eared owl. As I said in my last video, maybe it will choose to nest here, but I haven't seen it for over a week, so I'm kind of doubting that. This night I watched it land in a field. I waited for a car to pass and then tried to take a picture. Where was he? Do you see him? You probably wouldn't notice him driving by. Fortunately, he flew. Eventually, he landed on the same pine tree that I had photographed him in previously. This time, I had my camera settings a little more ready. The blue-winged teal are still hanging around our pond. They usually nest in grassy fields or roadside ditches in late May or early June, so we'll see if they choose to nest nearby. Speaking of nesting nearby, the baby great horned owl figured out how to join its mother in the tree, so Lucas swung by to take some family photos. The baby has already gotten a lot bigger and will be full grown by 3 months. As April drew to a close, we made one more stop at the crow hasson to look for the Swainson's thrush, but once again found the hermit thrush. We also are starting to see lots of palm warblers and white-throated sparrows. This goose seemed annoyed to have to share its nest with 2 drake mallards. The next day, which was the last day of April, we headed to Lake Oasis. On the way up, we made a stop at the Albany water treatment plant, where we spotted more spinning phalaropes. If you really like this synchronized swimming routine, you should check out some of the western salt lakes during fall migration, like Mono Lake in California, where these phalaropes pile in by the thousands to create their vortex. I believe that's where they eat the brine flies. Another thing worth checking out are the western grebes of Lake Oasis. This is definitely the best spot to watch them perform their famous dancing courtship routine. One of my photography goals for the year, yes, I have photography goals, was to capture this on video. I booked a free trip on the Grebe Tours pontoon provided by Alexandria Let's Go Fishing as early as I could because last year I had missed the dancing by 1 week. Unfortunately, the day proved to be very windy. The Grebes cooperated and we got to witness several of them dancing. But the boat couldn't get close for fear of getting blown into the shallow water and stuck, and the rocking of the waves made for earthquake-like footage. I had to settle for iPhone video and photos of the Western and Redneck Grebes. The Rednecks don't dance, but they do carry their babies on their back, so that would be another thing to check out sometime in the future. Seeing as how this lake is 100 miles away, the footage will have to wait for another year. I guess I would encourage you to watch one of the National Geographic videos of Western Grebes dancing with like 1 million views, and then you will know why I drove all this way to witness this again this year. That night, April 30th, the ruby-throated hummingbird started visiting our feeder. He has been visiting about once every 20 minutes ever since. I'm not sure if I just happened to have the feeder out earlier this year, but last year, his arrival date was May 7th. First, he would stay and drink for about 1:30 every time. I think he was recharging for migration. Now his visits are only about 30 seconds. Hummingbirds need to urinate frequently since their nectar diet is high in water. I didn't realize that this guy had been peeing on our deck when he visits, but you wouldn't either without a slow-mo camera. It's lightning fast. Also violating our deck is this gray squirrel who thinks he can completely devour the $7 a bag oranges that I've been putting out for the Baltimore Oriole, who is taking his time showing up. May 3rd was supposed to be the great warbler arrival, as last year we added 20 species on this weekend. The morning started out colder and quieter than I hoped. After seeing our first kingbird of the year, we heard one of the sounds we've been looking for. Male rose-breasted grosbeaks love to announce their arrival by perching high in a tree and singing nonstop. Swung over to another area of the Crow-Hassan where we immediately found two broad-winged hawks perched in trees. We also heard the continual sad call of the white-throated sparrow. Tree swallows have already claimed most of the bluebird houses. We had still not spotted any white-crowned sparrows and very few warblers. We were just about to give up when we found a pair of Nashville warblers hanging out by the river. They breed in northern Minnesota, but they will not be around the cities for long. While we did find 52 different species this morning, there are still many warblers that should be showing up in the next few days as the daytime highs stay in the 70s. We finished out the day by checking out the nearby heron rookery on the Mississippi River, where over 30 great blue herons were nesting high in the trees. Again this year I've given considerable effort to photographing the hummingbird in flight. Here I am instructing the camera where to focus, only to have the bird enter from the opposite side. One thing that is nice is if you screw up the shot, you know that he will return in exactly 20 minutes for another dring. One thing that's not so nice is that if you screw up the shot 3 times, you realize you just wasted a whole hour. You wouldn't believe what we found at our local water treatment plant the next day. Maybe phalaropes are a common bird. Actually, I know they aren't, but there is a rule in birding that when you work very hard to try to see a species, you will see it again on accident several more times. The water treatment plant was bustling with activity this day, and we watched lots of yellowlegs and sandpipers. The spotted sandpiper flies with stuttering wing beats interspersed with glides, keeping their wings below horizontal, so their flight pattern is easy to recognize. We zoomed over to Pelican Lake, where we found our first Harris sparrow of the year. They are headed to far northern Canada, so this is a good time of the year to look for this dark-faced sparrow with a pink bill. We also captured some fun photos of yellow-headed blackbirds. I leave you with a pair of shovelers. Notice how their iridescent feathers on their head look green in sunlight and purple in the shadow. It's an iridescent time of year. See you next time.